The late great Nat King Cole on KLOS. Good morning to you. It's time for the Impact program. It's gonna be one of those nights, I think. It's Monday morning, the 2nd of October, an early Monday morning. Good morning. My name is Frank Sontag. Impact is the I can't even talk. Right? Impact is the in-studio guest format where we discuss a wide variety of topics. And tonight in studio, that we always not only are excited to see Ray Castellani, but you always kind of add something to the energy in the room the moment you walk in the door. Ray is the founder of a nonprofit organization called the Frontline Foundation. And as always, Ray, it's nice to see you.
It's always nice to be here, Frank. And, I'm just laughing. I'm tickled to death to be here. And thank you. I'll say thank you before we start. When I leave, you might say, oh, no. Anyway.
Now, we've known each other quite a few years.
7 years now, Frank.
Is it really that long?
Yes. I was a young man when I first met you.
As I. We've gotten maybe a little older, but a lot wiser, I'd like to think, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel that way. I think a lot of times people are a little bit reticent about saying if they progress, because along with that progression comes a responsibility. And I take that responsibility. I've gotten a little wiser. I got no problem with that.
Well, I'd be willing to guess there are a lot of people that have heard you before and are tuned in tonight and are always anxious to listen to our interview, and also some people that have not heard you before. And I've asked you all sorts of different questions over the years that I've had you on the program, and sure, I'll repeat some of those questions tonight, and some maybe I've not asked you, but I feel compelled to, right at the beginning here, ask you a question as follows. How is it that you find yourself here? Why are you on the radio talking to me? What is it that you want to say, and why is it that you're here?
Boy, I'd like to spend about an hour just saying. I'd like to put out the feeling of compassion and love, and the energy of honesty and purity and unselfishness. I'd like to just spout it all out. I'd like to just open up the inside and just rear back and say, hey, this is life. And I'd like to talk about attitudes, and I'd like to talk about how people walk one way and talk another way. I mean, these are vital things that you don't hear on radio or on the TV and things like that. Everybody is got some viewpoint that they got to get across, but they won't go down the line and talk about the truth on either side. So those are things that I love to toss around, and it's not everything. And people say, well, it's your truth, as you see it. That's all baloney. I mean, there's a truth, there's a truth, there's a truth, there's a truth, and there's an attitude, there's an attitude, there's an attitude, there's an attitude, and these are all the things I'd love to talk. I'd love to get involved in a I don't know what one does call that kind of talk or kind of energy, if I may ask. I mean, those are the things I'd like to
What is the truth?
The truth is what is, period. You're a man. That's a truism. This lovely lady over here is a woman. That's a truism. So it's not true as I think it is or I dream it is. Truth is truth. And everybody is trying to seek that truth. And nobody wants to own up to it. Truth is how I feel, my insides. How do I really feel? Not speculation. Truth is saying today is the day. Tonight is the night. Truth is saying this is how I feel, not covering up the energy inside myself. Truth is seeing white as white is, not colors. These are the things that ask a question, get a direct answer. How do you feel? Well, I don't feel too good. Are you angry with me? No. And the answer is yes. You go. I could go on and on with all these kind of things about truth, because everybody. I didn't do it. Yes, you did. You did it. Rationalization, justification, and compromise. Anytime anybody rationalizes, justifies, and compromises, they're lying. Okay, there's a good statement. Write that down, folks.
How about truth as it applies to society?
It's the same format, same formula. Society rationalized. Well, they did that because they'll compromise the values or the principles. Truth about the police department, truth about the fire department, truth about this, truth about that. I mean, the hates. What's the truth? People can hate good, but they don't want to admit how much they hate. They won't come up and say, well, geez, I don't like that. Right? They'll say, well, they'll argue. So they can come up in our society and build this ball of nothingness, this great big giant of balloon of nothingness that floats away and all over, and everybody says, what is that? I don't know. And so truth is probably one of the hardest things to achieve. You go to a psychiatrist. So it's your lie. Welcome to the room here, folks, and now tell me all your lies. That's what people do. They're always trying to find the truth, because if you find the truth, then that truth sets you free. Somebody said that a long time ago. I think I've said it on your show, too.
You have. How does the truth apply to the condition that you find yourself working directly with, namely the streets of Los Angeles?
The streets are pure for me. Now, this is where it gets into an area of, let's say, what I like or what I don't like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the truth, the truth as it is of the streets, the streets are not a pleasant place to be at. The streets are very hard at best. The streets are dangerous. The streets are full of people that are you don't know which way they're coming or which way you're going. This is what streets are. I love this kind of energy because it's where I belong. I don't belong in a safe cocoon. I belong out. I belong out there, and so we're living in dangerous times. We're living in trying times. This is really reality. And this is the outside. I mean, your daughter can be raped next month, and you say, oh my God. Well, how many daughters are getting raped right as we talk right here tonight? And how many people are getting shot as we talk here right tonight? Loved ones, families. These are kind of truths that when it doesn't hit the home, when it doesn't hit the soul of me, or me, then it doesn't make any difference. I can talk about all these things, these peripheral things, and say, oh, I don't like. What about if everybody's down on the police? What happens when somebody busts in my house and kills my daughter or kills my son or something like that? And who do I call? 911 or 925? You see what I mean? It's only to my advantage. The truth of the really matter is that I hate the police. You see, you hate them. Except when it comes to my turn that I need them. Then all of a sudden, I need them. Yeah, this is why I hate lawyers, but when I need one, I need one. These are the areas. The trueness of what reality is, and the trueness of what I stand for. The trueness, reality, no rationalization, justification, or compromises. That's what the streets and the society means to me.
Could it be said differently or in another way that we live in a state of denial?
Sure. Oh, God, yeah. Denial or self-delusion? Sure. Oh, my God. That's the word. Without the self-delusion, my God, yes. The denial, the only, I'm not that way. I don't think that way. I don't talk that way. I'm with that. I'm for that when I'm really against it. Oh, it's all denial. whole ball of wax. And also fear of letting somebody else know that I'm in denial. I want you to think I'm a nice guy or I'm a nice woman. So I'll say all the right things. And you say, boy, isn't he an intellectual? Whatever that means. And that's not what I stand for.
What do you stand for?
I stand for that truth. I stand for the purity and honesty and unselfishness and love for mankind. That's what I stand for. And somebody has got to stand up and say, this is what I stand for. Because if I don't say I stand for those things, that I'm full of baloney, then I'm lying to you and I'm lying to anybody I'm talking to. I only stand for a few little principles, and that's what it is. I stand for honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love. And that's what I stand for. And that's what I try to represent. And that's what I have in my soul, in my body, in my eyes, in my whole being. And you say, well, Ray, do you have a lot of tolerance? Nope. I mean, you don't go to my good points. I mean, my bad points. Ray, are you a tolerant human being? Oh, no. Are you impatient? No. I mean, yes, I'm very impatient. These are things, but you got to ask me those questions. Otherwise, I won't, I mean, I'll say it if I get into a conversation, but I'm not going to say, well, I'm a very impatient guy. I got to, I mean, I feel kind of energized here tonight. I don't know. It's kind of, I just feel that, man. But there are, that's what I stand for. I have faults. I'm not ashamed of my faults. I'm not advocating my faults, but the other things outweigh or dominate my ills, so to speak. But in order to preserve the dignity of purity, I must be very forceful, and I must be very, very impatient, so to speak, because I have not the time nor the energy to waste on rationalizations or justifications or compromises or lies and cheating and selfish, self-centered human beings. I don't have the time. If you've got the time, Frank, well, you're lucky. I don't have the time anymore. So I've got to say, this is where I am. This is, and it's nice to be able to say these things after all these years that I've come through, because I was all the other things that I mentioned. There's only a handful of words, a handful of descriptions that one can say. And I get angry like anybody else gets angry. I get violently angry, not violently angry, but I get angry, frustrated. I got frustrated here. I don't know about this. I never heard any of these arguments on the TV, but I know it's going around, Fluffy. Fluffy the cat, it's so boring. But anyway, I got very disturbed the other day when I heard that somebody accused one man of acting like, or equating with Adolf Hitler. And my God, we lifted a man into the realm of Adolf Hitler, the highest order of decay mankind has ever known, and we put this man right next to him. God, you could put me next to him too, I mean, that's pretty high. That's like putting me next to the devil, or putting me next to God. I mean, you're going to the highest thing. I mean, it's not that important. I mean, Adolf Hitler changed the world and will never be forgotten. I don't think this other man, whoever he was, is going to do that kind of changing. And then to have some idiot equate it with, it's ludicrous. So that's what goes around. Is that really the truth? Is that really the truth, folks? Is that really the truth? I mean, see, that's what I don't know.
Man once said on my program, Frank, we have gotten so smart we've outsmarted ourselves.
That's true. That's true.
Those that don't know you and have listened to you for 10 minutes or so.
They're already turned off.
In terms of action, in terms of what you do with a lot of your time and energy in your life, talk about Frontline. Talk about what it is that, in a sense, is part of your calling that you found.
The calling, I think, is the word, Frank. The calling of to help humanity. I believe I am an instrument of God. I believe this to help humanity. Period. It's as simple as that. I must help people. And I hope even by talking, I mean, you help me, I help you. I hope. My thing is that I've conveyed something here tonight that would help somebody else. But my goal in life is to serve humanity. Not talk about serving humanity, but serve humanity. And Frontline is a vehicle for me to serve humanity. Has been a vehicle for me. But I think more than that, where I am is that I do it on a daily basis, every moment of the day that I can possibly fit into a day is to help people, because that's all my goal is. I don't want to sit back and tell you, yes, I want to help people with anger inside of me. I don't want to help people because it's an obligation. I don't want to help people because I think it's cute, because I think it's nice. I want to help because that's what I am right now. That's what those principles are. That's why I've cleared my way for purity, because I must have that kind of purity in order to be able to purely help another human being unselfishly, because everybody wants to help people selfishly. So that's what I stand for. That's what I do. That's what I hope to convey to the people of Skid Row. It's my area. It's my block. It's my hood. However you want to put it, it's irrelevant to me. But that's where I am. And that doesn't mean that it's you're here over the radio doing what you're doing. Your lovely friend Tammy Richardson is doing what she is doing, where she is doing it. My wife is doing what she is doing, where she is doing. Everybody's like little people trying to help one another. So it's not, you don't have to be, God forbid, don't be like or do me. Let me if I could put something across of honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love, yes. But not what I do. I mean, that's not the important thing. I can be unselfish and pure and loving and caring and understanding and compassionate and tolerant, and I don't have to get down to Skid Row to do that. I mean, that's the last place that one has to go to do that. The first place is in my relationship with life, my relationship at home, my relationship with whoever and whatever I come in contact with in a daily. My bosses, oh boy, there's an area we never got into, but who you work for. Am I afraid of getting fired? Am I afraid of losing my money? I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. And I don't have those hang-ups or those ties, because I am free of all those. I don't want to call them idiosyncrasies, because they're really not. You got to pay your rent, and that's not an idiosyncrasy. but that's basically what I have or going or with me, and I'm very serious about it. I'm very, 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 very determined about it. And so Frontline is a vehicle. Frontline is an area by which I am able to, not only for me, but I've seen the scope of Frontline with hundreds of volunteers that are able to vent that kind of caring, to vent understanding and compassion and love, and not have that terrible, horrible attitude, which I'm sort of on a little trip here in the last 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, my God. And I'm not ashamed or hiding behind any pillars about this, but I mean, you want attitudes on Skid Row? You can have quite a few of thousands of people. Well, I don't want attitudes up at Frontline Foundation, because that's got to be as clean as I possibly can have it. It's like those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that person made. You slapped them together, and they didn't want them downtown. And of course, you'll never get it. You'll never hear the truth about the way I really feel on someone coming or going, because I say, "Well, are you angry?" No, I'm not angry. No, I'm not angry. I don't know what's the matter with you. I mean, I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. I have no tolerance anymore. I'm a no tolerance kind of guy when it comes to that sort of thinking process. And if anybody is, more power to you. But I'm not. I care that much about what I stand for that I don't need people surrounding me with anger. I don't need people that are not telling the truth about themselves in front of me. I don't need any of these things. I just don't need it anymore, and I'm just. If I buy into that, Frank, this is again what it is. If I buy into the decadency of another human being, let's just say we have a group of human beings. If I buy into that because I want this human being to like me, and so I say, oh, you're wonderful and you're fine, and inside I feel these feelings about, my God, you're austere. You don't say hello. You don't say good morning, or it's like, hello. Is there anything bothering you? No. I mean, it's ludicrous. Well, how are you? Oh, well, how shall I say it to you, Ray? Shall I say hello, 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 hello? Or do you understand? And this is what drives me crazy. And I got to put up with that stuff. I don't have to do it anymore because I'm not like that. When I'm angry with you, I'll tell you I'm angry with you. I'm angry with you. Boy, oh. Oh. Are you happy, Ray? No, not at all. This is what I like. And I like that kind of truth. At least if I'm up front with you, please be up front with me. But don't. And this is what I have. I've had a problem of late, and it's very discouraging to me at this moment. And I feel uncomfortable going into my own place up at Frontline. And I can't have this. I want to be at Fifth and Crocker, where nobody wants to go, because I feel clean there. At least I know what I'm dealing with. And I don't know what that has to do with the price of...
well, question. You're talking about what you...
Yeah, you got to talk about these things, Frank, because...
Absolutely.
Everything is so nicey-nicey.
You're talking about what you don't need. What do you need?
Caring, love, compassion, understanding, a smile, not only to me, but to everything that's being done. There's so many volunteers there. There's so many people. The people on the street. God, I go down in the most horrid place, and they say, "Hiya, Ray. How are you? I love you, man." I mean, that's unbelievable. Fifth and Crocker, Fifth and Town, San Pedro. Hey, Ray, how you doing? My God. I mean, that's what I need. And that's what's beautiful. My God, you and I have spent 7 years on the radio here. I spent 8 years on the streets downtown. At least I'm entitled to a good morning in a civil way. And I have the respect of the people on Skid Row. I got to have the respect of the people on the other end. And so that's why I ask a lot. I ask so much. I ask for an individual to be compassionate. Oh, gee, don't ask me that one. I ask for an individual to be tolerant, to be loving. Oh, my God, these are horrible things. To come into Frontline with a smile, not to lie. I mean, these are terrible things that I want. I mean, can you imagine asking a human being, don't lie to me? Oh, my God. Especially when they go, no, yes, and those quick answers, and I'm supposed to sit back and say, oh, aren't they loving and kind and wonderful? And then I'm a liar, too, just like everybody else. I buy into the lie, and we all go out and we all feel lying. Oh, isn't that wonderful? So I don't need those things. This is true. This is really true. This is what life is today all over the place. So those are the things I don't need. And I've gone through all that stuff, and I just like to push everybody's button, including my own. You push mine tonight, I'm yapping. But I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about image. I mean, because I'm loved the way I am. I have verification of what I've done. I've got 8 years. I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people that say, Ray, I love you. And they know what I'm talking about when I talk to them. I believe in equality. I don't see races and blacks and whites. I don't see any of these things. My God. So these are all the things that I represent or that I stand for. I don't have to worry about this control or that control, the right wing or left wing or middle wing or her wing or my wing or this wing. I don't know any of that. So it's all talk. It's all blah 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 blah. We talk and talk and talk, and so I don't have to worry about that thing. Action. I'm a human being that believes in action, Anyway, we never talked about these things on the radio, Frank. I wonder how many people just tuned off to us here. They won't tune off to you, but they'll tune off to me.
I don't know if that's true. I get my share, too. My in-studio guest is the founder of the Frontline Foundation. His name is Ray Castellani, and we're going to open the phone lines in just a little while. In the 8 years that Ray has been down in the streets of Skid Row, you have managed to serve how many meals?
Oh, this is unbelievable. I'm glad you asked me that, Frank. Over 475,000 meals. Now that is a miracle. A miracle brought about by the power of God through people, to the little people, the nickel and dimes, and the quarters and the tuna fishes and the soups and all the other stuff. That's a miracle. That's the power of people, the little people, the school kids, the adults, the seniors. That's what it's about. And that's something that is in the bank. I mean, that's a truism. That's true. So and it was only supposed to be a few hundred.
What do you mean it was only supposed to be a few
I only
hundred?
thought it would be serving actually 300 or 400, 500 people, 500 meals.
When you first started?
When I first started. In fact, I would wager say probably 300 in that area. So this has been truly a miracle upon a miracle. That over 475,000 meals have been served.
What have you learned about yourself from going down to the streets?
That's a beautiful question, Frank. You know, it's never asked, and I would be kind of hard to. I think it's hard to answer that. I don't usually focus in on myself here too much, but it's a real good question. I think what I've learned is I've learned truth about myself, about how I really, really feel about everything. I think it's opened up that area of truth inside of me that's able for me to be able to articulate, to be able to expound a little bit on truisms and not falsehoods. I think it's expanded my compassion for people. It certainly has expanded my education and in the area of tolerance and compassion for my fellow man. I mean, this is something that is just understanding. Is so difficult for people to understand. And my understanding has just grown in leaps and bounds because I have this ability to be able to comprehend and understand a human being, which is something I had before. I worked with a lot of people prior to this last 8 years, but really have an understanding of human nature. I mean, it's truly a miracle that I see within me because I'm able to be able to take 1,000 people and be able to understand them in a matter of a minute or actually a split second. They're coming through a line, and to be able to really comprehend what's going on with them, and that takes some doing. And so that's what's expanded in me. It hasn't expanded my patience, but I think those are the understanding, I would probably say. I've grown to understand, and I've grown to see what the other side is like without being on the other side. I've grown to feel what a victim feels like, along with the perpetrator. I don't mean necessarily you got to kill, and I don't mean that kind, but I'm just talking about a human being that trespasses on the grass of somebody else. I can feel both sides of it. I can see it. Where where most of the time people only see one side of that. They only either see the perpetrator or the person being perpetrated on.
What you're talking about is a quality called empathy. You've become more
Total.
empathetic.
Total. Yeah. Total. I have that ability. I see both sides. And what I'm advocating, I'm advocating purity, you understand? I'm not against something. See, I have to understand the fact that if I take a gun in my hand, I've got to understand that as well as being on the other side. I have to have that understanding in order to have the full view of what's really going on. And that's what's coupled with me. I've got to understand the frustrations of another human being in order to understand the love of another human being. I've got to understand both sides of it.
Could you also say that in order to solve a problem with that, what you just said, you have to be able to have the ability to see that problem in different lights, in different angles? I'll say it a little bit simpler. We have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of problems.
Right.
You've alluded to some of those, whether it's personal self-delusion or societal self-delusion or denial or hatred, lies, whatever. Is the solution simple to that? Where does love come into play?
Oh, Frank, the solution is always simple. It's always simple. You see, you can't change. I can't, no one can change the fact of compassion or love or understanding. How can I change those words? If I put compassion, love, and understanding as an example, go back to my 4 principles. If I put purity, honesty, unselfishness, and love into the equation, how can society go wrong? It can't. That's what's missing, Frank. That's what's missing. So the problem, if I have problem A here, and I put purity, let's say doing the budget, I mean the national budget or whatever it is. If I put purity into that and clean it all out, if I put honesty into that and have it pop out like that, and if I put unselfish into that, I've got 3 major principles that's going to clean that thing right up. And then I love it. Give it all away. I mean, how can you, it'll just squash everything. But you see, we got to know who's making the money, who's not making the money. It gets involved. So the principles will take care of it, but nobody wants to put those principles into it.
Why not?
For fear. For fear I'm not going to get mine. For fear I'm not going to live in my big house. For fear I'm going to lose my job. Fear. That's the opposite end of it. Everybody's afraid. Afraid of. And that's what that's the other that's not in that equation. That's not in my equation. You see, once fear creeps in, once I have fear going, that'll just thwart me into so many other directions. Fear of losing, fear of making, fear of this, fear of that. It'll just follow me all up. So that's probably the biggest culprit of all is fear.
I've heard you say the word corrosive.
Corrosive? Oh, yes. Totally corrode. It'll corrode me into doing all sorts of crazy things, such as lying, cheating, stealing, and all that other stuff. Fear will. I mean, it's just terrible. I have people stealing from me at Frontline, which is terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible. You know, and it's not good, but I do understand that part of it too. You know, but it's not a pleasant. Anything can be solved with purity, honesty, and selfishness and love. Anything. I defy something not to be solved by that. I don't care what you're looking at. Car manufacturing, bus manufacturing, city this, city that. If you put those four principles into there, it's going to clean it right up. Police, lawyers. I mean, my God, we've just gone through a tremendous ordeal of lies and stuff. And everybody, who cares what side anybody's on? What about the truth of what happens? I mean, how can you judge anybody on merits of what they're judging the people on? I don't know. I mean, it's got nothing to do with me, but I don't know. I just don't know, because honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love is not in those equations.
How does one begin to put those 4 qualities into action?
By not doing a lot of the things that I normally would do. And that's number one. First of all, there's on a given day, there's all little mini situations. I wake up. Right away, I'm lying. No, no. No, I wake up in the morning, and the first thing that I should think of is, what can I do for my fellow man or my fellow woman? If the first thing I can do, wake up in the morning, is I'm going to do on the first thing, pick up that check, and I'm thinking about self, so I am selfish. Okay, so do you see how insidious this is? This selfishness. Or let's say I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to say to myself, geez, I'm going to go get a nice haircut and get my... I'm again thinking of self. Or I wake up with some sort of anxiety in my stomach and I say to myself, oh God, I hope that person doesn't call me today, because do you see what I mean? That's just waking up in the morning. Or I have to a lap over from the next day. So each situation in a given day has its little character, its little beginning, and its little end. Now, if I put the test to it, am I lying here? When I sign a piece of paper, as an example, am I lying on the paper? I go to the bank, if I want to take a loan out, how many lies in that piece of paper did I make? Do you see what I mean?
Sure.
So that all day long, I have the opportunity to put purity into my life, to put honesty into my life, to put unselfishness into my life. And by doing that on a continual basis, I begin to catch myself. I say, oh, no. And self-delusion, another thing. You got to be aware of self-delusion, because I was a master at that too. Because I would tell a story that wouldn't be true. But I told the story so many times that it became true. When I didn't tell that lie, then it would. So I corrected all those corrections, and then as I went through the course of a day, I would step back and take a look, and I began to do that. And it's not easy. It's not easy. How angry am I inside? What's really burning on inside of me? Am I spouting out all that good stuff, and my insides are burning? And then when something pops me off, I get angry right away. Come on. I don't want to hear that. That's impure thinking, because you see, you're not really got the two together. These are the areas, Frank. I just stick with those 4 principles, and I subjugate it to the down the line in every given situation. Selfishness is probably another corrosive thing. Is people think of self all the time. There's self, and that's a very it goes along with fear, and that is very. It's not even insidious nowadays. It's right up front. But people are educated into this selfish area. They're really educated now into that selfish area. You got to go to this for you. You got to get this for you. Everything is for you.
It's come to a place of it's normal now. It's just accepted.
Yeah, totally accepted. If you don't think that way, you're like me. What's that wacko doing here? Well, you got to get yourself right, Ray, before you can give something else away. Well, okay, fine. Knock yourself out. I mean, if I thought that, I guarantee you 475,000 meals would have been served. Guarantee you. Guaranteed. And if they don't think so, just go out this week, anybody that's listening to this show, go feed 100 people. That's not too bad, is it? Go out and feed 100 people that are in need. Right now, tomorrow, or by the end of this week. And don't ask, where am I going to get the money from? That's a silly statement. Just go do it. Or go out and go down to the blind center and read to the blind. Read stories to the blind. I've said that many times. I love that. Go down to the crippled kids and teach them how to throw a ball or something. Do something for somebody else. And don't ask anything in return for it. But go do it. Instead of sitting home and or sitting around and saying, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And if I had the money, I would do this. And if I, all these silly things. I mean, I don't subscribe to those things.
I had a man on this program once that I have on maybe once a year if I'm lucky. He doesn't live in the area. He said something, and I'm just curious of your response. He sat across from me as you do and said, Frank, people need to begin to give to the point of where it hurts. And he said, I'll give you an example. He said there's many organizations that, for instance, need money. Nonprofit organizations that are doing good work and they're struggling. And yet people think the following. Well, I have bills. Oh, I don't think I can swing a few bucks that way because, well, I've got to take care of my things. And he talked more about if you have that mentality that, say, once you're straight, you're no longer in debt, you'll still have that mentality thinking, well, maybe I need to save a little bit more money before I can give.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether it's in the area of money or any other areas of life, as you were talking, I lined it up in what Bo was saying, the same thing. That it's all about action now.
Mm-hmm.
No excuses. No as soon as I do this.
Mm-hmm.
Or as you talk about, give for the purity of giving and ask nothing in return.
Right.
Right now.
Yeah. Again, that's the unselfish act, and I must begin. I must begin, but one must begin. To think about, like I said, when you wake up in the morning, can you imagine if everybody woke up and says, I'm thinking about somebody else's welfare? How many people do that in the morning? I'm thinking about somebody else's welfare. I mean, it's not a very prevalent thought. And then you've got the people that say, oh, I'm always thinking about somebody else, never thinking about myself, and I'm always winding up the raw end of the stick. You've heard that 1,000 times. That's boring. Everything is I get bored to death with all these silly things, and I'm not. I like to. I've always been a person that likes to do. I mean, if I go to the movies, I like to go to the movies. I don't want to talk about going to the movies. I like to go to the movies and say hello to Brian and Cameron at the movie theater. But there's lots of areas that I find that I can think of others rather than thinking of myself. And I think that's the bottom line, Frank. I really do. Because so much is done in talk. And everybody loves to talk. I mean, they got those groups and those, what do they call them? Self-help groups and the BAs and the CAs and the AAs and all that. And that's all they do. They love to talk. You go ask them to talk someplace, and they'll be the first to go. Oh yeah, I'll be there. And they'll talk and they'll talk and they'll talk. But go ask them to do something that might take them a little bit out of their own self and out of their own way. Then I'm in trouble.
Freedom from self.
That's it, Frank.
What does that mean?
Means there is no conscious thought of self. I have absolutely no conscious thought of self, and that's freedom of self. I become as pure of an instrument to serve humanity as I possibly can. Everything is devoted. Every energy in my head is devoted for that, and that's a little tricky. That takes a bit of doing. I mean, that just, to me anyway, it's not an overnight matter. That was a process, a long and arduous process. But freedom of self is probably the greatest gift that I've ever received in my life. And And it's a gift. It's a gift from God. And I don't like to mince any words about that either. Because again, you see, Frank, I really firmly believe that I have to be able to speak some of these things that I feel, because if somebody feels the same way or is feeling the same feelings inside, but nobody's ever speaking it, and everybody's saying, well, we're trying to get there, and blah 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 blah, then it's unattainable. Well, I'm no God, isn't? I mean, I can't be that. I'm not talking about that kind of thing, but it's just not there. Sure, you say, Ray, I'd like to have a little more money. Yes, I'd like to have a house. Yes to all those questions. But Ray, does it interfere with your life's thoughts? No, it doesn't. I'm not obsessed with it. There's no thought processes in it, and that's the difference. Freedom of self. And I don't care who it is. Well, I like doing these things because it makes me feel good. Well, Frank, see, here again, I differ. When I do something for other people, it doesn't make me feel good. I do it because that's what I have to do. They say, Ray, do you feel good after it? Yeah. Do you feel bad after it? No. Do you feel anything after it? No, I feel honored that I was used as an instrument to help somebody else. I mean, I'm honored to be used. And so freedom of self, Frank, is probably one of the greatest gifts that could be bestowed upon a human being, is freedom of self.
We're going to take a break and open the phone lines. Maybe there'll be some folks that will want to talk to you this morning. And on the other side, I want to talk a little bit more about Frontline. There's a dinner coming up a week from Sunday. I believe it's the 15th. A brunch.
A brunch, yes.
Fundraiser for Frontline. And also, are you still doing the paper drive?
Oh, yes. Newspapers. Yes, newspapers. Newspapers are a little low right now, but what I'm doing is I'm just putting them in there and saving them and bringing them all over at one time instead of like I did before in little loads. But it's fine. I'm storing them up and I have enough help. We'll bring it all over. So newspapers are very vital.
And also, I want to talk about volunteers and maybe some people listening that might want to get involved with Frontline.
And tuna fish. Gotta have that tuna.
We're going to take a break. If you'd like to be on this morning on KLOS, if you have any questions or comments for my in-studio guest, Ray Castellani, we'd love to hear from you. And the numbers are as follows. In the 213-818 or 310 area codes, our main lines are 520-KLOS, 520-5567. We also have lines in the 714 area. The numbers there are 977-KLOS. And the toll-free lines are 1-800-955-KLOS. You'll talk to Tammy Richardson. She's our program coordinator. She's in the other room picking up your calls even as I speak. And the phone lines are open, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
It's just like a dream.
We are back, and it is exactly 1 o'clock in the morning. This is KLOS Los Angeles. If you've just tuned in for the last, almost hour, Ray Castellani has been here sharing some thoughts and feelings on life and what else? It's been interesting so far, and we do have a couple open lines. We have a lot of calls here as well, and we're going to go for a little while longer. 52-KLOS are the main lines, and we have a toll-free line available, which is 1-800-955-KLOS. Let's talk about Frontline for just a couple of moments. What do you need? You said tuna, newspapers, volunteers. Talk to me, Ray.
Right. Well, first of all, to Frank, I want to thank you, and I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again, that the power of your listeners is phenomenal. You have there are scores of Frontline people now that came from direct result of you. So you've been a powerful instrument for mankind, and I want to thank all those KLOS that listen to you, that do volunteer and that do care, that do the Bill Mannheims and the Dan Yarb. How am I going to get his last name? Yarbara, yeah, and Tim and God, I'll forget it. I better not mention any names because I'll forget. But these are very ardent, passionate people that care about Frontline, and so I welcome all volunteers, and I welcome them to come. They can get a hold of me via mail, which I prefer.
And what is the mailing address?
P.O. Box, Frontline Foundation, P.O. Box 570303, Tarzana 91357, and California. And the newspapers, that if they can bring them, I'd love it. That can be dropped off at Frontline, and that is in Van Nuys, and that's 15433 Oxnard. It's half a block west of Sepulveda Boulevard on Oxnard, and you go past a building called Granger and down the alley, a left down the alley, and then you see a great big sign. It'll say Frontline Foundation. You can leave the newspapers there.
Anytime.
Anytime, yeah. They can do that at night, day, or anytime. Come in the morning. I'm there a lot times in the morning. And Brian Phelps is another. He's helped me tremendously with newspapers, and wonderful man. And tuna fish too, the same way. I've said this before. If all your listeners that are listening to this show right now gave me one little 55-cent can of tuna, I would serve food to so many people, and have little mini tuna drives in their little compounds. But the more you get me, the more food I can put out, and so this is important, Frank. So those are, and anybody that wants to give me $1, they can put that in the mail, and I'm a nonprofit organization, and that's good too. If you don't have the time or what, and you want to put $1 or 50 cents, I don't care. I mean, I've done this on nickels and dimes, and I can do it again, or keep on doing it. We're looking also for sponsorship. That's a different area, so that I would love to go. I didn't speak about this before, but I'd love to take Frontline into the next level, and the next level being I want to hire some people. Literally, I receive nothing for what I've done for the past 8 years, and but I'd like to take this to another level. I'd like to serve 180,000 meals a year, but this is where I need the corporate and sponsors of 100. Sponsors at $1,000 each would certainly vault this into that next level. And so anybody that is knows or has a company that wants to help, this is already a beautiful thing. But I just want to make it. I mean, I've remodeled Craig Randall and myself, and everybody's helped a little bit, but mainly Craig Randall. He's remodeled Frontline now. We have unbelievable. I mean, it is so great. Oh, where you see it, Frank? You haven't seen it in a while. It is beautiful. It's just a beautiful place to be now. And so I don't know why I'm doing all this, but I'm doing it. And I think it's because right now we serve about 60,000 meals a year, and I want to go to 180,000. But I can't do it alone anymore. It's too much. I need help. And I can't expect somebody to be in that kitchen 8 hours a day without compensating them. So that's another thing too. That's if somebody's out there saying, "Hey, I'm going to help you, Ray."
And if someone does want to volunteer and help, you would need them for how long? Hour? 2
Hour,
hours?
hour and a half max, and that's about it. And you come there on I love. You have to find your own transportation. Get over there to Oxnard and Sepulveda and in Van Nuys, and every morning, 7:00. There's people there. I'm there. I've been there the last 2 or 3 weeks, but there's people there, and they got little teams, and they're there for about an hour and a half, and then they're done.
The mailing address, again, Frontline Foundation, Box 570303, Tarzana, 91357. And on that note, Nikki, you're on the air on KLOS.
Hi, Frank. How are you doing?
Well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, and I wanted to thank Ray very, very much for the things that he said, and tell him that, let him know that. And one thing that listening to him that came across my mind was that what he's been talking about is probably the most profound thing I've heard about relationship, because to me this all said that this, the most profound is our relationship to the human race, our brethren.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank him because I have not until recently heard anyone speak so well about such a pure altruism. I was beginning to think that it was truly lost. I'm just absolutely blown away.
I love you.
I've never seen such unconditional love in my life. I mean, this is the absolute purest form of love. You have no, you strive so much for no concept of yourself in any of this, but what you're doing for someone else.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And that's truly love. And I'm just totally blown away.
Well, thank you. That's for sure. Just thank you. I mean,
well, you're welcome.
It's where when you talk like this, I don't see it. It's weird. I know what I've said, and I know what I feel, but I don't see it from your perspective. So I don't see this in me.
That's why I called, because I figured you just said exactly what I figured you'd say. This man wouldn't even realize this if I told him.
Yeah,
but this is what it hit me with. It just hit me right between the eyes.
Thank you so much.
Frank, thank you so much for having him on.
Well, my pleasure. Anytime Ray wants to come back on, he's always welcome. And I thank you for calling, Nikki.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it is. Leanne, you're on the air on KLOS with Ray Castellani.
Hello, Frank. Hello, Ray.
Hi.
I've been listening to you for a long time, Frank, and I've never called before. I have mixed feelings that I want to share with you very briefly about 3 points. I've noticed a marked change in how I hear and feel Ray from the beginning of his comments until what I perceive to be the emotional place where you both are now. The first thing that made me sit down and call is his comment about Hitler and the reference to Hitler in the trial that has just concluded. And I connect that with his statement most recently about when you feel things, you need to speak them, because if you don't, others won't know that they have, that they're not alone. So I want to say that the comment about Hitler has been so misunderstood. I have watched the trial almost every day. The comment was simply this: when people do wrong and others turn their head, you can end up with a situation such as what we saw in Germany. That's truth. If everyone for the last 20 years, including the people who are now on TV saying that, we're making outrageous comments such as Daryl Gates, someone should have stopped what was going on with Thurman and those like him long ago. They didn't. And they say he hasn't committed any murders. We don't know that. But to get upset and say it was an outrageous comparison, I think is dishonest. And if you say you stand for honesty, misunderstanding on purpose is a very dishonest act. And I think someone needs to say, let's look at what was actually said and the inferences that were asked to be drawn. And if they are untrue, then that's one thing, but I don't think they are, based on the information we now have. Earlier on, before the tapes came to light, the same people were saying, you have no proof that this man has done anything wrong, he's a fine officer. Well, now they can no longer say that, but what they're saying is, it wasn't really that bad. I wanted to share that with you.
I have a question for you real quick, and then maybe Ray has a comment.
Sure.
Do you not think there's lies on both sides?
I think that everyone involved in the judicial system has foibles and has strengths. And we've seen a lot of things that were incorrect and regrettable on both sides. I'm not willing to say that O.J. is guilty. I don't think he is. And I'll be very honest with you about that.
Okay, but before we get into that to such a great extent, I want to impress upon you that this isn't really the forum to all of a sudden start talking about the trial.
No, but that was the first thing out of Ray's mouth. He talked about people who know they're guilty and don't speak about it, and I wasn't sure that he referenced that was the reference he had in mind. And he came back later and made a direct comment, and I go with my feelings a lot. I heard his anger and his outrage.
Sure.
And I feel it's very important to say, but if you weren't listening very carefully and you heard someone just say he's as bad as Hitler and didn't hear the context and the pretext.
Okay, you've made your point.
All right.
I concur and agree with you 100% on that. That I was probably erroneous as far as my because I didn't. All as I heard was I didn't even hear anything said. I just heard.
That's what I thought had happened.
Right. Yeah. Because I haven't followed the trials, and I'm not. So I'm an uneducated person on that. My main point that I wanted to make, which I probably hope that you didn't misconstrue it, was this: that I have when Adolf Hitler, the name of Hitler is mentioned, I see those. As a kid. As a little kid, I remember 1945, I'm 62 now, but I can still see the bodies being thrown into the graves on the newsreel. And when I went to Washington here in last April, I went to the Holocaust Museum, and I again was introduced again to those bodies being thrown, and they have movie pictures of it. And so that, the word Hitler to me, and this is my own personal passion about it, I see the bodies. I see these people being put into these mass graves. I see them, and I've seen it in books as a kid, and also now in Washington. And I guess I reacted that it's not the man I'm not even equate names with this.
Right.
I don't want to put a name with who did this or who did that, because that's not what I'm into. But I do know one thing. I do know what Mr. Hitler did do, and I've seen that.
I think we all would have to say the degree of horror there offends any human being.
That's all I'm saying.
And it's acknowledged.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, and I think others would perhaps understand this as well, we need to embrace all people who have suffered that and worse, and to see when it's on the horizon, not wait until it happens again, and to say when people begin as children, don't do that anymore because it shapes who you are, and if you're cruel to your pet, you'll
right.
That's an indication that something needs to be addressed.
Right.
And I would just say that in that context, that we need to look at things early before they become international.
You have no argument with me in that area. It was probably unfortunate that the Hitler thing is in my heart so much, and I just, I mean, my God, I would like to just lay this out real straight to you, that I don't see a black person. I do not see a Chinese person. I do not see a woman. I do not see a man. I do not see a child. I do not see an adult. I see a human being. Now, that's what I stand for. I probably should, which is good for you to tell me this, because I usually don't say that, because I'm so strong in my beliefs of believing in equality that it overshadows all. I will not stand up and denounce anybody. I will not stand up and support anybody. I support the principles that I believe in, and this is what I go for. And when I step out of that bounds, which probably I did here on this statement, I have to withdraw and say, wait a minute, that's out of my bounds. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. And again, let me go with my strong points rather than my points that I shouldn't even be going on. So,
thank you, Leanne. We appreciate the call. Jim, you are on the air on KLOS.
Hello?
Is this Jim?
Oh, it is.
You're on the air.
Well, I was just trying to move a desk, and it hit the ground. Ray?
yes, sir.
You will be a millionaire. And that's in meals served.
Oh.
And that is the most special thing that far surpasses Michael Eisner. Far surpasses anybody else you might be able to think of. You, obviously, to even make that statement, have helped so many people that I'm in awe.
Well, thank you.
You know, you say it's selfless, but I do think you must feel that you must do as much as you can. And you have, you know, for others. It's not selfless, but it's a driving that I really admire, you know, obviously very much.
All right, thank you so very much.
I will help, and I'll be in contact.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, and I might cry.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate the call very much. This man's name is Bill. You're on the air on KLOS.
Hi, Ray.
Hi, Bill. Is this Bill Mannheim?
The one and only. Hi, Frank. Good morning.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. You know, I stood up late tonight because you're worth losing sleep over, Ray.
I hope so.
Oh, I think so. And let me just, come out and say that some of our new listeners that may be listening, or some of the regular listeners, that I feel very, very fortunate to have been associated with you, and those people that may think that you're someone who is, another fanatic perhaps out there trying to, raise a dollar or whatever. That's not what you're all about, and I'm here to say that. And also, too, I really called to really let you know that my folks really enjoyed the brunch last Sunday, or the 2 Sundays ago, and they were very elated.
2 months ago.
There it is.
Yeah.
Again, I really, I sometimes almost feel speechless, but I once again, I really want to let you know, and I want to let the audience know. I want to let those people that have given us, or given any real thought to perhaps calling the project, or maybe calling Frontline and finding more about it, really do so, because you'll feel good about yourself. That's basically what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. You sleep well.
Thank you. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Look forward to it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I want to mention, since Bill kind of did bring up the brunch, Sunday, October the 15th is the next Frontline Foundation brunch.
Right.
What has happened for about the last year, there's been a fundraising dinner for Frontline that anyone that wants to attend has gone to and supported Frontline, and that has evolved into a wonderful idea that you had not too long ago to integrate every other month having a Sunday brunch.
Right, yeah.
And I have not made it yet, because Sundays I pass out.
Yeah,
but I have heard that the brunches have been just wonderful.
yeah, it's really beautiful, Frank. It's just a beautiful entity where the room is just full of love, and everybody's there for the beautiful feelings. I mean, beautiful reasons, and it's a moment. It's a moment. I mean, there has to be a few moments in that are good for the good side, and without the dragging on of life's trials. So, and this is a moment it's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful time.
And if anyone would like to attend Ray's brunch, call me at the project. You've got my project number by now. We have some people that support my organization that also support Ray's, and if there's one of you out there, or 5 or 10 or whatever, if you're at all interested in spending a wonderful afternoon with Ray and just a number of other just special people, again, it'd be Sunday, October the 15th in the San Fernando Valley. And if you call the project, I'll fill you in on all the details. And our number is always the same, which is in the 818 area code. It's 594-2077. 818-594-2077. And I'll get back to you and let you know how you can join Ray and friends Sunday, October the 15th. We've got a couple more calls, and then we'll wrap up. We'll see if Joe is still there. Joe, you're on the air on the Impact program.
Hi, I was wondering what religion the speaker was?
What religion you are.
I'm not of any religion. I just believe in God.
You don't. Have you accepted him into your heart or anything?
I just don't know. I have no. You're asking. I don't know. I'm ill-equipped to answer those questions or that question. I just don't have the answer for you on that. I believe in God, and everything I do is within that framework that is His will, which is to help other people, and that's all I do.
Yeah, because some of the stuff you're doing is pretty cool.
Thank you so very much.
Okay.
I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't.
Uh-huh. Oh, all right. Bye.
Thank you, Joe. Bobby, you're on the air on KLOS.
Hey, just wanted to say that touched on a couple things you're saying about having no conscience of self. I've been married 2 months to a really sweet girl named Shallon, and today's her birthday. And right now I'm at work because she's going to school to be a medical assistant, and she's not getting paid, and she has to do this for about a month or two. But I mean, she could go straight into working for a private practice, but she's working in hospitals and medical offices, kind of help those out, and that need the help, and she's not getting paid for it, And I guess if you can help somebody who wants to help other people, and if you need to work a little overtime, or if you need to give up a little bit of things of pleasure, I guess, of a few toys, so that you could help somebody out that's trying to go through their goal and live their life, and have no conscience of your needs. I think that's pretty cool what he said. Just having no conscience of self. I think that's pretty all right.
Thanks.
Well, do you have any opinions about I don't know, the world today and where it's going? Like, is it headed in a downward slope, or is there hope?
Are you talking to Ray, or are you talking to Frank?
I'm talking to Ray.
To Ray. Okay, this is Ray. This is not Joe.
Huh?
This is Bobby.
Bobby. Yeah,
Bobby.
Bobby. Okay, Bobby. Frank and I didn't get to talking about that today, but Bobby, I personally don't. Again, I probably I don't want to leave anybody with the wrong impression here, but if there's not a change, if there is not a change in our society as it is today, I do, with everything in me, believe that we are headed, that we're on a downhill trend right now, and that the end, whatever that end is, we're there. And the hope is, the only hope is that it gets so bad so quick that we can realize that it's in that direction.
Right, it slips away before we even have a chance.
Correct. That's what might happen. And so your only hope is that we find out before this end comes.
Yeah, they say it always gets worse before it gets better.
Correct.
I don't know if it's going to get much worse and then get better. I mean, there's only there's so much you can go in the worst direction, and then it's just lost.
Well, it has to be recognized. I mean, look in the paper tomorrow morning, listen to the news tomorrow night. There's murder constantly on the streets and in the papers, people being raped or killed, and this is not even, this is just on a one-on-one basis, children being...
Well, it goes much deeper also. You look in some publications and things, people are being exploited, things are being suggested.
Yes.
And a lot of people just need to steer away from that.
That's
and not
undermining. That's undermining. See, that's the undermining. That's the insidious undermining of the society. Yes.
That's it, with the little finger going, come here, trying to grab your nose, and you just can't let them do it. Well, I just want to say thanks for letting me call in and say a few things. And you guys are both great. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
Okay, no problem.
Bye-bye. Thanks for calling. And we're going to take one more as well. Chris, you're on the air on KLOS with Ray Castellani.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Fine, Chris.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This is Ray.
I'm turning the stereo off right now so that I don't... is Ray there with you?
This is he.
Ray, I tell you, I just got to commend you. I think you're doing an excellent job, as well as the other two gentlemen prior to me calling the station. It's an emotion that's hard to explain what you're doing for people. And I'm very, very concerned, not to mention the trial again, but I'm very concerned about what could be happening here next week And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of emphasis as far as on the streets with the people. And I have to agree with as far as color of skin, whatever it may be. It's scary. It's very scary to me.
I served, my wife and I served food to the people of Skid Row when the riots were here the last 2 years ago, I believe. I have such a rapport on the streets that I was there serving food while the riots were going on, and even down on Broadway. And I know it sounds strange, but I have no fear of these things because, again, I have to believe if I really go along with what I believe in. See, I don't know the difference between who's doing what and what's doing what and who's. I must go with what I do, and that is I serve food to humanity on the streets of Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles, where murder happens every day.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is not devoid. This is not Beverly Hills. This is downtown where people are getting stabbed and putting garbage cans and all this stuff. I mean, so I'm not working in an area full of flowers.
Sure, absolutely, I hear you.
But I have proof that what I stand for and what I am is beautiful on those streets because the respect that the people give me on those streets is far-reaching than any trial, than any arguing back and forth who's guilty, who's not. Who cares who's guilty or not guilty?
Very much.
This is not what I'm about. This is not what I'm trying to put forth or pick sides. My God, everybody picks sides in the world. That's why we have sides, and one side's against another side.
Sure.
And that's why the argument begins. I don't have any sides.
Okay, Ray, and I understand that. And again, I'm trying to get away from the trial. All I'm saying is you being out there in the streets, I don't know if you're hearing anything from folks. I'm sure they're just as concerned as everybody else.
They're not.
They're not?
They're not. They're not concerned.
No,
Do you know why they're not concerned? They got to survive one more day.
Oh, sure, but I mean, if they start the craziness of,
No, they won't start. It won't start there. It won't start there.
Okay.
No. There is no. These people are tired. The people I. It's a whole different society. These people have been trampled on, walked on, kicked on.
Oh,
So I guarantee you there won't be any problem there.
Please don't misunderstand me. Now, what I'm saying also is a lot of people out there, I do believe, think that the people that are homeless, that are on the streets, are all alcoholics, drug addicts, and which I am part of a 12-step program myself. And a lot forget that it's our state that there's a lot of mentally ill people out there.
True.
That need help, but
Yes.
people are stereotyping.
Yes.
And I'm concerned about them because sometimes maybe an alleyway is the only place they can sleep
You're
tonight.
right. You are right in that department. I agree with you 100%.
And I mean, I've had so many questions that I would like to ask, but I can't believe I'm actually on the station. And you're just awesome.
Well, you know something. You know what I like about this is there's so many people out here that we reached tonight. We're excited by what was said and by our feelings and by what Frank and I conversed about. This is the turning point, and there was no argument here. And this is what's so beautiful. That's the togetherness, the pulling together of humanity for the purpose of good. That's what life is all about, and that's what these calls tonight. They were very powerful. You guys are very powerful that called in, and I thank each and every one of you personally for that. But that's what it's about. It's not about argument. It's about caring. It's about support. Jesus, support me. Support something good, and that's what's so beautiful. And that's what these telephone calls were tonight for me. It spurred me on. It gave me more incentive for tomorrow for my tired body to go out and do more. I'm thanking you, each and every one of you callers. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And we thank you, Chris, as well. If you would like to get involved or contact Ray or drop off some newspapers, whatever. This is the following information that if you care to, please jot it down. The mailing address to the Frontline Foundation is P.O. Box, and the numbers are 570303, and the city is Tarzana, and the zip code is 91357. Box 570303, Tarzana 91357. Also, if you would care to drop by, and if you have some tuna, you have newspapers, you'd like to see Ray, the address to Frontline is 15433 Oxnard, 15433 Oxnard in the San Fernando Valley, just off Sepulveda and Oxnard. And again, if you would like to get involved with the brunch coming up, which would be a week from this coming Sunday, the 15th of October, please call me at the project, and I'll let you know how you can do that. And our number is in the 818 area code, and the number is 5942077. Well, there's another one.
I can't believe it, Frank. I can't believe the time went by so fast.
It really did.
Oh, my God.
It really did.
I want to thank you, Frank, and I want to thank you for this beautiful opportunity. And I remember that when I was first on here, it was I've served 40,000 meals, and so truly, you've been a powerful instrument for the betterment of humanity, and I just. It goes unthanked a lot, but I just want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for your caring and for your put it out in that action. and I love being here, and I hope the people care about what I say, because I care. I hope the people understand what I stand for. And I just want, and I loved the return of the calls tonight. More than that, I love the support, because it's so easy to tear down, and so quick to tear down than to support. And again, if I stand for anything, I stand for equality of mankind, and I'll back that statement up. If anybody wants to come with me down to Skid Row, they're more than welcome, and they can see what I'm saying is true. So I thank all your listeners, and I thank you, Frank, and I love you. I humbly love you.
I love you a lot too, and we'll look forward to seeing you back on the show around the end of the year.
Yeah,
the end of December.
Christmas time.
Yeah.
Maybe you get letters they don't want me back here. See.
Well,
keep that guy off. But I thank you, Frank.
I thank you too. We'll be back. We go all night until 5 o'clock, and we'll take more phone calls on any and all topics, and we'll start doing that right after this.